Just remember the hours of entertainment.
Oh my God.
So good.
The soundboard calls.
Soundboard provided. The soundboard
Oh.
calls just.
Yeah.
Oh,
How many of those
the
do we listen to?
Schwarzenegger ones, and then the Miss Cleo.
Miss Cleo.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the daddy.
I
would just like to get to know you.
I mean, this was a time before YouTube where how did we even find this stuff on the
I don't know. How did the internet even work back 20 years ago?
How did the internet work?
People would set up websites.
Websites around one thing.
Yeah, I do remember that website that was just Sean Connery yelling, "You're the man now, dog," over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, that turned into a whole website that was.
That's what I mean. That's how I found that was that website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old internet,
exploding whale clip.
Yeah.
I mean, so many great.
Is that the news story?
It's the news story. Yeah.
He tried to blow up the whale. Oh my God.
Exactly.
That was so funny. That was so funny.
And then it just went everywhere.
Yeah, there's just blubber falling from the sky. It's the best.
It just it's so good.
Yeah.
The early internet was so
Simpler
good.
times.
Kids today are just they don't know.
All Your Base when that took over.
All
yeah.
Your Base.
I mean,
that was about 20 years ago. So I remember watching that a lot when I was in North Carolina, and that was 2003 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a shirt. All Your Base.
Did you have an All Your Base shirt? Yeah. You still have it?
No.
That's too bad.
But it said the line and then had the character from the game.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
Terrible. His name is Katz.
Oh, Katz?
Katz, yes. Katz is the antagonist of Zero Wing.
Zero Wing. Oh,
hopefully that's in one of our Jeopardy questions later in the
show. It will be now.
No kidding. No kidding. My God.
Oh,
all right.
Boy.
Hello and welcome to episode 802 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Chris Johnston, and with me as always from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's getting warmer. Hockey season's
good.
coming to an end, just in time for the spring hockey season to start.
I can't tell if that's a Canada joke or
No,
not.
that's absolutely true.
That's real.
And spring hockey ends just when summer hockey. It's actually pretty fortuitous that they match up like that.
You guys just have a hockey for all seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is summer hockey like just wet and wild? Just kids splashing around in like an inch of water?
That's not. That's weird.
I mean, that's how it used to be when I was swimming. We'd have high school swimming, and then there would be summer park district, and then also the YMCA stuff. So there's when you find a sport as a kid, you can find a way to do it all year round.
Yeah, absolutely.
So CJ, your
Mm-hmm.
time spent as a high school swim team athlete.
Yeah.
Your time spent coaching girls swimming.
Not coaching. No, I was the manager. Once again,
your time managing
manager.
Girls soccer or girls swimming.
Yeah.
In college, right?
High school.
High school. Okay.
Yeah.
I still really want to know how that happened.
I know, right?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Well, weren't you in high school?
Yeah, I was in high school.
It just seems an unlikely situation.
The managers of the swim team were the boys swim team had managers from the girls swim team.
Oh, because you wouldn't be competing at the same events? Is that why that was a thing? Or
yeah.
Okay. Just because, when it comes to like sort of genders in high school, people just tend to go nuts about, anything. So it just sort of surprised me that, the female team would have a male manager.
And then the girls swim team had
the story just writes itself.
I mean,
from the boys swim team as the manager. So myself and my friend Chris Winfrey were managers of the.
So you were in charge of shaving backs?
No.
It's like you. This is just moving Love Hina out of the public bath and into the park district.
That's right.
I understood that reference.
Let's see.
Back in the day, I didn't have to shave my back, but now,
yeah.
Now
it's a jungle. It's a jungle.
Gorilla monsoon back there.
Yeah.
There was hair, but where there was
no hair before.
You got the Robin Williams special going on.
Ooh,
I do. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
So did that all that swimming practice? Did you have that on your resume when you applied at Adult Swim?
I did actually.
Wow. Is this where we were going with this?
That's what that whole setup.
That was the whole setup.
Mike Phillips would call that a long road to a short house or a small house or something like that.
Both. It's me.
True.
Yeah.
Wow. And joining me from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi there.
How you doing? What?
How's it going?
Did we just ask how each other was doing at the same time?
Yeah, that's right. We can't cancel each other out.
Perfectly in sync.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like we were once roommates.
That's exactly how it worked. When we were shaving each other's backs, we would ask each other how we're doing.
That's right.
Yep.
With aerosol cheese instead of shaving cream.
Get on board the shave train.
That I believe.
Give me that sharp cheddar. Ooh.
Sharp. Now that's a sharp cheddar.
Got the jalapeno one this week for a little extra spice.
Oh,
CJ, of course, always insisted on All American all the time.
All the time.
I'm America's lad. That's the only aerosol cheese I used to shave with.
These colors don't run, as I keep getting told in our Gran Turismo group.
Those colors don't run unless you drink some of that Incredible Hulk milk.
Oh,
and then the colors start running every which way.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, do they ever. Anyway, at the top of the show, I wanted to say a little thank you to some folks who sent me a package recently.
CJ's going to talk about his package. Gather around, everyone.
Gather around. As listeners of the show might know, my storage unit before I moved was broken into at some point over the last 2 years, and my video game collection was stolen entirely. And I want to say thank you to some of our listeners, some of our Discord folks, Greg and Greg's friend Mike.
To think about that.
To think about that for a second, for putting together a package that has like an emulator box, basically, and a library of games that I cannot wait to get to dig into, because it includes not only the games that I obviously lost, but a lot more as well. Just looking at the list kind of overwhelmed me. And I want to just say thank you to anyone who participated in putting together that gift, and to Greg and to Mike and to Phil and everybody who listens to the show, our Discord community, some folks from the Sea of Thieves community as well, over at the Keelhauled podcast. Just thank you very much for that. It arrived sometime over the past week, and I had just gotten back from a trip today, so I just opened it today, and I just thank you, everybody. It's been a hard week for me. We recorded the last week's show early so that I could go and celebrate my dad's 85th birthday. And while I was in Chicago for that, my mother passed away. So, bit of a hard week for old CJ. Yeah. So I ended up extending my trip over the last week and stayed in Chicago, just helping my dad and my brother with various things. And it was nice to come home. Felt good to come home, but then also to have this package waiting was just kind of the capper. So thank you to everybody.
Just want to say we're glad that you got that when you did. And I want to give all credit to Mike. It was Mike's idea. He was the one who suggested that we do something like this. He put in the elbow grease to get it all set up. And when he mentioned it to me, I felt very confident that if we took it to the members of our community, that they would be willing to help. In what ways that they could, which was mostly to offset the costs. And I've said it for a long time for our podcast. We don't have the most popular podcast online.
Wait, what?
We don't have the bit. Well, I know, right? We don't have the biggest audience, but we have an extremely dedicated and generous audience, kind audience. Here. So I'm always moved by how much our audience will rally around each other and the people in this show. So, but yeah, big thank you to Mike for that, and also Bill Mudron, who, gave us the use of one of his prints and actually created an original print, for the box itself, which he did out of the kindness of his heart too. So, but we're glad that you got it, CJ, and we hope that, when we put it together, it was to offset the theft. But
yeah,
it seems like the timing of the delivery was fortuitous. So,
yeah, certainly. Yeah.
And that's our show for this week.
That's our show really. Week. I'll be talking about what I've been playing.
So can we get into something a little heavier now?
Heavier. Let's get into something much lighter, right?
Let's get angry about video games.
Oh, finally. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the important things. How many times this week video games have wronged us? No, I can't. I just can't. Like this week especially, there were a couple of things in the news that I just could not get frustrated about or anything. Like, especially, let's just talk about it now. The Mario Kart 8 DLC. People saying, "Oh, these courses spank of no effort."
Really?
Like, they don't look as good as the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks. The grass in the tracks is
the grass.
It's solid green and not individual blades. And I just I can't.
CJ's done with it. CJ has had enough.
Whatever.
CJ officially ran out of fucks this week.
Seriously.
How much budget and time they spent doing it? Like, who gives a flying? Thank you, Phil. Thank you for that.
Whoever's in the control room.
I just couldn't care less. We got 8 new tracks for Mario Kart this week, and I could not be happier. The fact that a game that is almost 10 years old at this point, right? Like, one of the Wii U's best games and one of the Switch's launch titles, really, 5 years on, has gotten new content and people are set to bitch about it. And it's just what are we even doing here, people?
Hang on, I need to change the script I have ready for the Mario Kart 8 part of what you're playing.
Boy. Very upset.
I'm just kidding.
About those puddle textures.
Yeah.
Oh, the puddle textures.
Yeah. They're not as reflective as the pre-release screenshots led him to believe.
Exactly.
Boy.
But there were some news items that we can talk about this past week. Of course, Gran Turismo 7, Greg, one of your favorite titles, ran into a little bit of a rocky road this past week with some online maintenance, some server maintenance that went longer than expected and basically took down the game itself.
Yeah, and I'll talk about this more in what you've been playing, I think. But the big takeaway for me was I didn't realize how much of that game was behind an online connection. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I tested it out tonight, and it was like, whew. But yeah, it's. We can talk about it more in what you've been playing because I have a whole thing to talk about there. But yeah, think the response that they gave was not great. I don't think Sony handled it very well. I don't think Polyphony handled it very well. Downtime on games nowadays makes sense because so many games are a service and they're constantly patching things and upgrading things, and that's kind of the line you walk when you're doing things like that. But you know, I mean, it made sense for them to keep the game down when they ran into an issue with version 107, but the way they handled it publicly didn't. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
it wasn't good.
And this kind of thing is going to be tough, especially for a company like Sony that really hasn't had like a mainstream online service game hit. You have GT7 come out, which is a big marquee PlayStation 5 release, and then to have it run into some trouble like this so early on. I mean, it seems like they were unprepared for the PR that needed to come along with this, and then it was sort of on the heels of people being mad or upset, at least, about microtransactions in the game.
Well, that's a bigger discussion, and that's like I said, something that I want to touch on when we get to what you've been playing. But yeah, what you said, somebody tweeted something very similar, and I think it was a really good point where it's like, Sony doesn't have, I don't think they have a ton of experience with games as a service.
No,
I mean, outside of maybe what was their online RPG?
EverQuest.
EverQuest. And was that even this iteration of Sony? I mean, it was Sony Online.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's Sony Online.
So, you know, I mean, I think they're running into the teething issues, and they're surrounded by games released by companies who are used to running games as a service. And that's not to excuse any of this, but you could see it. You know, I mean, it felt like they were fumbling. They didn't know what to do when this happened. And what they did do wasn't right. So, yeah, it was a rough week. It was a rough week, and I think it's been a rough launch for that game for a lot of different reasons, which is a shame. But I do sort of take solace in the fact that when Gran Turismo Sport came out, it was pretty rough as well.
Yeah,
and we have seen this before, and actually, you know, a very similar series with the Forza games on the Microsoft side. I mean, they ran into a fair amount of issues with a couple of those games, especially I remember some of the stuff that's happening with Gran Turismo 7 is very similar to Forza Motorsport 5, especially when it comes to the economy of microtransactions and the way that Microsoft handled that and had to roll back a lot of things. I'm wondering if Sony's going to do the same thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. But I guess when your game goes down for over a day and people can't play, that ain't good. No. All right, so staying in Sony land for a few minutes here, there was a Hogwarts Legacy State of Play this past week, and I don't know if you guys watched it at all.
I watched parts of it, and it looks really good.
It looks good, right?
Yep.
I didn't watch
Okay, that's all we have to say about that.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it. I can't bring myself to be interested.
That's
Harry Potter these days.
It's so loaded.
It is, and to me, this is another sort of instance where you kind of have to separate the art from the artist, because J.K. Rowling has certainly turned into kind of a raging bitch. Is that wrong to say?
Jesus.
But I mean,
I wasn't quick enough with the bleep. Sorry.
Damn it. But yeah, I think you still kind of have to separate it. It seems like they're putting the developers like front and center, like on the top of this, like above the game name, like really trying to focus on that. Also being quick on any potentially like detrimental reaction to it. Like some I saw some dev like responded and said that the game doesn't have any microtransactions, just to like quell that like as people are raging like
see, I feel like I understand the idea behind putting the developers forward because you do want to distance yourself from J.K. Rowling at the moment. But I feel like what's going to happen there is they're going to end up bearing the brunt of a backlash that's meant for her.
Yes.
And I don't think it's fair to them.
I feel for them. That's not good. Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, separating the art from the artist, obviously, people from our generation, I think, have had to do that a fair amount. We all grew up when Michael Jackson was massively popular, and when Bill Cosby was massively popular, and but I mean, the difference there is I find it easier to separate them because the albums I love from Michael Jackson were 20 or 30 years old when it kind of
also
became
not actively making money off of them.
Exactly, and
that's true.
He's dead. And Bill Cosby, the same thing. Like his stand-up, when I listen to his records, because that's how old I am as a kid. I mean, those are memories that I have
when
not
you're
knowing the
you
person
bust
he was.
out your copy of Fatherhood.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's easier to separate because, again, he's not generating content currently, and I'm not listening to or ingesting content of his at this point. But like J.K. Rowling is still, contemporary.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter is still contemporary, and it's rough to make that separation now. I think I would love to see them come out. I think one of the things that they could have done, and I don't know how they probably couldn't because of the license, but even something along the lines of, X amount of dollars from every purchase goes to some kind of, trans youth support program. You know what I mean? Like, or something like that. I don't know that she would have let them get away with it. I have no idea what the contract is like between them and EA, obviously, but it would at least let you feel better about it.
It's WB Games, not EA, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yes. For what that's worth. I mean, God knows if that would do any good, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But the game looks cool.
The game does look good. I feel sorry for the developers.
I
really do, because it looks like they might have put something together that's really nice, and I feel like they're going to suffer again a backlash that's meant for her.
I feel terrible for them, but I'm not going to play the game. Sorry.
I'll wait for reviews, and if I'm sure there will be reviews that bring up J.K. Rowling.
Absolutely, there will be. How do you
can't escape?
You can't
that,
separate
right?
her.
You can't separate it. But is the game going to be any good? Like, that's what I'm interested in. So, all right. You guys know how much I love the game Until Dawn, right? Because I've sung its praises on this very show, these 800 episodes, many a time. And the developer of that particular game, Supermassive, is doing a new game called The Quarry.
Oh, right. I heard about this.
A new horror game. So this is going to they did like an anthology series prior to this that I didn't really pay too much attention to, in part because I heard it wasn't very good, and it just wasn't quite the genre of horror that Until Dawn is, which is, of course, slasher movies with teenagers. And The Quarry is a slasher game with teenagers once again, this time at a summer camp with 9 teenage counselors.
Oh, I saw those movies.
And just like on Until Dawn, the motion capture and actors are real actors. Like David Arquette is in this movie, in this
I thought
game.
You said real actors.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch for
real actors. Yeah, I mean that's loosely.
I mean, he was in the Scream movies, don't you know?
The fellow from 8-Legged Freaks.
Okay. Here's another name that you may remember. Ted Raimi is in this.
Oh, you don't say!
Brother of acclaimed director.
It's Ted so nice Raimi. To see my brother getting work.
That's right. After Sequest DSV, finally.
And he of course, he was in the Spider-Man movies.
I saw your latest Spider-Man movie this week, finally.
Thank you. It was very good. My best directorial debut yet.
Yes. Agreed. Congratulations on entering the MCU. You're an official MCU director now.
Thank you.
I mean, you already were, I guess.
Well, of course I was. I've directed all of them.
With the Avengers, right?
Yes. I brought them all together, all your favorite superheroes.
Madam Marvel.
Mr. USA. The Mighty Zeus. The Green Meanie. And the rest.
The Revengers.
They'll get revenge on the bad guys. Look out!
Well, anyway, so yes, Ted Raimi and David Arquette are in this, along with Lance Henriksen.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Hey, I like Lance.
There's another
He's
name.
still alive.
Of the
He's
Super
still
Mario
alive,
Brothers
barely.
movie.
My God, he's been old since like the 90s.
I know. Ethan Suplee, who we were talking
ripped
about
now.
Wait, what?
Have you seen him?
Now? Yeah, he does not look like he used
now.
to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
makes me feel even fatter than I am when I see pictures of him.
He got that pissed off about the sailboat?
From Mallrats and
it's
the Gym
My
Rats.
Name is Earl.
It's not a schooner. You dumb bastard.
Yeah.
And then he rips the kid in half.
Justice Smith is in this as well. Like a lot of real actors.
Okay.
Are in this game. Actors, classically trained. So yeah,
David
it comes
Arquette.
out on June 10th. So very, very soon from 2K Games this time. So I'm interested. The trailer looks good. I will link to it in the show notes so you can partake. But I'm very, very excited about it.
Now,
here's another
CJ
exciting piece of news. What?
CJ, were you aware of this?
Yeah.
I know you are originally from the Chicagoland area.
Correct.
You grew up in the Chicagoland area.
Kanye's next door neighbor.
Clearly,
basically,
you're a big David Arquette fan.
Huge. Is he from Chicago?
You're playing the latest, greatest David Arquette game.
That's right.
Were you aware that David Arquette now owns the rights to Bozo the Clown?
I was not aware of this.
Well, I am.
Why is that?
It pleases me to be the one to break this news to you.
I was not aware of that.
David Arquette,
wow,
the eight-legged freak, now owns the rights.
Interesting.
To Chicago's very own Bozo the Clown.
Okay.
So
it seems
maybe Bozo will show up in this new game of yours.
Maybe he'll be wandering around the quarry for some.
You'll find the grand prize game. You'll find 6 buckets tucked away in a corner of the quarry.
Yes, possible.
Well, let's hope.
That whole segment of the show is for Mr. Nelson.
Yeah,
and no one else.
No one else. Here's some other surprising news. The new Fortnite season has started, and for the first 9 days, there's going to be no building.
Why?
In the game, the building mechanic is gone.
Why?
For the first 9 days. This is something that Epic apparently is trying out because all of us oldsters who are like, I'm not gonna play that game. It's got the building in it. Now we got to put our money where our mouth is. Apparently,
my mouth says I'm not playing the game. So
is that what this is? This is them trying to get old people to play.
When do we get paid?
I don't know. But they took out the building for the first 9 days.
Are they throwing in like skins from like 70s and 80s characters?
Oh, I mean, when haven't they been doing that? When haven't they been doing that?
Oh, that's
the greatest American hero.
Yep. Yeah. See.
I'd play
live action Spider-Man. That'd be good.
There it is.
Yeah.
Bill Bixby Hulk. Get that in there?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you throw in that version of Thor from the TV special.
Or Daredevil. Yeah. Daredevil was in that series too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. See.
Skins
but anyway,
back Cotter.
I thought that might be of interest to you, Greg, since your son plays Fortnite. And
he doesn't play Fortnite anymore.
No Fortnite anymore.
You know what he did do though this week? He marathoned BioShock Infinite.
Oh no!
He started it one night, and then the next night he's like finished.
Oh,
did you have him listen to the spoiler cast that you recorded?
I forget why he's probably listening to me right now. I forget why he decided he was interested in BioShock anyway, and I have the collection on Xbox One,
the real crappy one.
Yeah, and I guess the disc that he put in the system was the one that had Infinite on, so he just decided to play that. And but yeah, he just like blew right through the whole thing. So okay, cool. So now he's going to go back and play the real one. Yes, he went back and played the good one now. The first one. Yeah,
it's good. Yes.
Is BioShock the Benjamin Buttons of video games?
How does what?
It gets older. It gets, or I don't know.
No, that didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It didn't work. Phil. You
Never
tried
get
though. I
old.
appreciate.
It was a solid effort.
Appreciate the effort. Yes. All right, so let's jump right into what you've been playing. Greg, we'll have you go first, sir.
It's all pretty negative this week.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna say
no.
So I've been watching, because obviously we have a crew that races Gran Turismo, and so we were all very excited for Gran Turismo 7. We've all been kind of grinding through it. So it was big news when GT7 went down this week. Like I said, that was where I learned that the lion's share of the game is locked behind an online connection. And I mean, it's everything.
Which, by the way, remember that time back in 2013 when the Xbox One was going to be always online, and
and Sony got loads of applause for not. So yeah, I didn't even realize that, and so that's one of the many problems that this game has had over the last week or two since launch, really, is that where this was the first numbered Gran Turismo in, I think, over a decade. The fact that there was a huge single player component was a big deal. With Gran Turismo Sport, obviously that launched as an online game, right? Like that. So that made sense. And there was a bit of backlash there. So they ended up adding a lot of single player content to that game, which, by the way, if you, I tried it tonight. If you play that game without an online connection, you can't save anything because your save file exists in the cloud, although there's still a version of it on your system, but you can still access, I think, all of the single player content in Gran Turismo Sport if you don't have a connection. It just doesn't save, but you can still play it, right? So when you fire up Gran Turismo 7 without a connection, or if the network is down, the servers are down, you have access. You can still access every track. You can do an arcade race with a small collection of cars, like pre-selected cars and the AI, and that's it. And you can't do anything against this gigantic single player grind that exists. The map is there, but none of the icons are lit up. You can't go anywhere but to these single events. Or you can do the music rally thing that they added this year, which is, again, it's not really much of a mode. So that's one thing that I learned this week that I was just kind of like, that feels that doesn't make any sense to me why they would do that. But yeah, I do want to say, like, the game has problems anyway, and there's two major problems with it. And I was kind of trying to skirt around this when I was talking about it last week, because I wanted to, give the game a chance to, and give the developers sort of a chance to fix things. The game feels like it was released about 6 months early. It feels like it's not done. And I do understand that, games are online and that patches are a thing now. And, you're always going to have bugs on day one. Totally get that. And, having been in the software industry and the games industry myself for like the last 2 decades, I understand nothing's perfect. And you ship with, things that you consider, okay, we'll fix that later. But there are so many bugs in Gran Turismo 7, especially online play. And the thing is the other thing that makes me feel like they weren't really done yet is that when they introduce patches, they inevitably break something else. Like the patches seem like they've created as many problems as they've fixed. And there's
this is already sounding very familiar to me as somebody who plays an online live service game regularly. But this happens almost every single time with that game too.
But you know what?
The game that shall not be mentioned yet.
The difference there is, I assume you're talking Sea of Thieves, but
yes,
the difference there is that that's a game that, where it's an online game. You play that online.
Yeah.
So they're constantly balancing and adding content and everything like that. Whereas Gran Turismo 7 has a massive single player game. But what they've done, I feel like the reason it's behind the DRM is because it gives them the option to fiddle with it constantly.
Yeah.
And so that's leads to the second part of the problem, which is the economy in this game is so broken. And I think that's what's made everything worse. So, like, and just some history here on that too, is that with, I think it was, I don't think this happened in GT6, but with GT Sport, they added microtransactions. And the way that they existed basically was like, if you wanted a car, right? If you wanted to buy it, if you wanted to buy a car and you didn't have the credits for it, there was a real world price that you could pay. You can pay real dollars for something. So it's like, you don't have the credits for this car, or it'd be an option, or you can just buy it for 99 cents. Here's a car, buy it for 99 cents. And I think the highest price you pay for a car in that game was $5, right? That now Gran Turismo 7 has come out, and there were two things that happened. One was in the pre-release review copies, microtransactions weren't active yet. So none of the reviewers got to see what the microtransactions looked like when they were reviewing it. The game came out, that went live. Suddenly the cars, and people have found different examples of this where, like, based on the pricing of the credits, because now you buy credits, the game's constantly asking you to top up. Do you want to top up with real money? Sure. Okay. So based on the pricing of the credits, now there are a few good examples of cars that were $5 in Gran Turismo Sport are now $40.
Oh my.
And to buy the most expensive cars in the game, because again, you're not buying the car now, you're buying the credits to buy the car, $200 for the most expensive car in the game. So that feels greedy, right? On top of that,
these free-to-play games got to make money somehow.
Exactly. And on top of that, like, one of the things that the patch that broke everything was meant to do was to make the economy more stingy. It made the grind worse. So, because we live in 2022 and, everybody's online, and this is a standard thing. People have been doing this since the first Gran Turismo. You find an event or two where it's like, you're min-maxing. Because all these games have been grindy, not at this level, but they've all been grindy. So you find this event where it's like, okay, if you run this event over and over again, you'll earn this many credits and the race takes about this long. So you're making this much money based on X amount of hours, right? It's the most efficient way to grind up your credits. Like, I remember when I was at EGM, we covered Gran Turismo 3 that launched while I was at EGM. And there was a great tip for, like, there was an endurance race where I think people figured out that you could get a really super fast car and you could like remap the steering and the acceleration so that the two analog sticks were facing into each other. And then you use an elastic band, a rubber band, to tie those together, and the car would ride the wall because it was an oval track. And you just earn crazy amounts of credits by just, you put your system down and let it run that race and you earn credits. So, like, that's normal. So what they've decided is they part of this patch was to bork those events that people had identified as this is where you can make the most credits.
Sure.
So they literally made it so that the payouts are worse, so that the grind is still bad. And it's like, it's just that, coupled with how expensive microtransactions are now, feels like it's greed, right? And
sure,
Kazunori Yamauchi came out and made a statement after everything was down about why it went down. I'm just going to read some of it. It says that it was a rare issue not seen during tests and development or the QA sessions prior to release. In order to prioritize the safety of the save data of the users, we decided to interrupt the release of the 107 update and to make a 108 correctional update. So that makes sense. That's fine. That's the reason. We apologize. Then he addressed the microtransactions because people were going nuts over it. And he said that he didn't want... What is that? He wants users to enjoy lots of cars and races even without microtransactions. At the same time, the pricing of cars is an important element that conveys their value and rarity. So I do think it's important for it to be linked with the real world prices. I want to make GT7 a game in which you can enjoy a variety of cars in lots of different ways, and if possible, would like to try to avoid a situation where a player must mechanically keep replaying certain events over and over again.
Sure.
Which, I mean, sounds good, but it's not realistic, because here we are a day after, and people are already identifying, okay, these are the best events now to grind, because that's what's going to happen. And it's a single player game. Who cares? Right.
Also, has he learned nothing from GT Sport?
Apparently not.
I mean, clearly this is not the first time that this happens. You have a game, you have a user base who's loyal to your game. They're going to talk about it. They're going to come up with these strategies. Like, there really isn't any way around it. So what's I don't understand how you then decide
There's no good
to
reason.
make these cars like the idea that you want to reflect real world pricing of expensive cars in a video game is just like insane to me.
And this is the exact same, almost verbatim, the exact same reasoning Turn 10 used when people freaked out about the cost of microtransactions in Forza Motorsport 5 during the Xbox One launch. I mean, almost exactly. And they did finally roll that back. So, and I mean, again, I've played these games for 25 years now. I've had the honor of interviewing Mr. Yamauchi multiple times. I believe that he probably does mean what he's saying here. I believe in his vision for the game, but it doesn't come off as anything but greed. Like, it feels anti-consumer. I kind of hate to use that phrase because it's so overused, but it does feel that way. And it's because there's so many other elements of the game that also sort of, it's just layer upon layer of, like, seriously, you're gonna have to pay for this stuff. Like, this is us saying you're gonna have to pay for this. Like, from the fact that the roulette wheels, which used to be like, so you'd finish something called a daily workout, but you would earn a spin. And in GT Sport, it was always a collection of 5. You get one of 5 cars on a roulette wheel. It was usually something you already owned. It wasn't usually a very expensive car. You couldn't resell the car. You'd end up with duplicates. You couldn't sell it back. They've taken that now, and the roulette spins are usually a different set of collection of credits. Usually you will get the lowest amount. Usually one car, which if you win, you can't sell for credits. Usually multiple parts for specific cars that you may or may not own and probably will never drive that you can't sell. And my personal favorite is you will get an invitation. So what this is, and I'm sure the internet will tell me if I have this wrong. So I got one recently. It was for Porsche, and it was to buy a very specific Porsche in the manufacturer screen. My understanding is the only way you can buy this car is if you have this invitation. The invitation is time limited. So if you're lucky enough to win this on the roulette spin, I think you have 2 weeks. You have to buy it within 2 weeks. So I won the right to buy this 2.3 million credit car. I don't have 2.3 million credits.
I was gonna say,
but I could.
How long do you think it'd take you to get? More than 2 weeks?
It wouldn't take more than 2 weeks if I wanted to sit and grind for it. But I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to. And and then, or I could buy.
But how much would it cost?
I could buy it for $20.
Okay, so $20 would be the price.
But they do that. They do that all over the place. Where then they call these legends. So some of the most sought after and expensive cars in the game are in this car dealership that you have to unlock, and it only has 5 cars in it at a time. They're randomized, and that's the only way you can buy those cars. Oh, and by the way, some of these cars are limited stock. I don't know what that means, but it means that when you go there, even if you have the money, you might not be able to buy the thing, even if it's shown up. And it's the same with the used car dealership. If you want a particular car, you have to wait for it to randomly appear in the used car dealership, and it might be limited stock, so you better buy it right away. So there's just multiple, at every turn, they're doing something to push you to microtransactions. And I know we've talked about this on the show a lot. And I know that it's not a subject that we touch on or would like to touch on a lot. But in this case, I have to say, like, free-to-play mechanics in a full-priced game are really, it's razor's edge. You're really walking a thin line to balance it properly. And in my opinion, Polyphony and Sony have gotten it massively wrong.
Yeah.
In Gran Turismo 7. And
Yeah.
that
What it sounds like
statement,
to me is that they've hired people who are into free to play monetization in Japan or
yeah,
another industry, and mobile games and console game monetization is exceedingly different because this is not a free to play game, and the monetization in it shouldn't be handled the same because you've already gotten $70 out of
right,
the customer at this point. What you should be focused on is how to, make your most engaged players more happy to spend time and a little bit more money in your game on a constant
yes,
basis. This is
exactly,
not in the console space anyway. To me, it is not about whale hunting or trying to get people to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars in your game. It is more about offering value, providing enough value to the
right,
people who are already there to keep them around, to
right,
become people who
like,
evangelize your game and bring people into the fold, right?
right.
Like,
And
and
I'm saying, and I'm not saying all this basically I'm saying all this as a player who I will probably never spend a dime on this game, an extra
yeah,
dime on this game. And it's
yeah,
not really, honestly, probably not going to affect me because I'm not somebody who has to get every trophy. I'm not somebody who has to get every car. You know what I
right,
mean? Like I extract what I want out of these games. But
yeah,
it's still on the basic principle of it, I can't be okay with, right? And
yeah,
honestly, every little piece of this on their own outside of the DRM issue, I don't really have a problem with. Like, I mean, the microtransactions aren't new. And the type of player that I am with these games, like, again, where I spend most of my time playing these games with a specific group, and one of the
yeah,
things that we've been doing over the past year with GT Sport was, um, what we just call fun races, where it's just like everybody buy one of these cars, we're gonna go and race. And it's like, in on the off chance that maybe I didn't have enough credits to buy that car for that week, and it was like $2. Okay, $2. Sure, no problem. I'll buy that, you know. But now knowing that that would be like $10 or $20, no freaking way I'm doing that. And then again,
right,
when you add all those other elements on top, it's like I might not even be able to buy the car, even if I did decide I wanted to spend $20 on it, because it might not be available right now, or it is available but it's limited, and the game's decided it's sold out. Like, it's too much. It's too much. They've thrown too much on top of it. They've stacked too much bullshit onto the microtransaction free to play mechanics, and
mm.
it's really upsetting. It's really upsetting for a game that was highly anticipated, a tentpole release for them, and
And this
they
is
don't
the
seem to
thing
get it.
that's worrying about this is that Sony is looking for live service style games that are going to be sort of blue ocean, can sell for years, right?
Mhm.
And this kind of thing is going to turn away their most loyal engaged players. Like, it's just not a good
Yep.
idea to do it this way. Hopefully they'll reverse course.
I
They'll
hope
they'll
so.
hit they'll hit the car into reverse, as they say in driving parlance.
Nobody says that,
And
but yep.
and yeah, they'll change their ways. But yeah, I hope that's the case.
And the tragedy here too is that, for years now, Polyphony and Sony have shown that they really support, like, these Gran Turismo games have long legs. They support them for a long time with a
Yeah.
lot of content. So I'm not worried about that. And even the bugs that are there, like the online stuff, again, Gran Turismo Sport when it came out was not in good shape. And after a year or so, it was in fantastic shape. So I trust them to do all that, but it just sucks that we have to sift through this to get there.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
yeah, it's too bad. And for what it's somebody in the chat mentioned, for what it's worth, I'm really enjoying what I'm playing of it. Like,
Mm.
it's a really good game, and the improvements are fantastic. There's so much to love about it. It's too bad that it's all being obscured by this.
And
So,
also that it wasn't clear what the microtransactions were going to be before
yeah,
reviews
that's
came out.
shady.
Like, that
That's
is
shady.
that is super shady.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. Also, in other terrible news, I tried out the Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins demo. I did not know what to expect from that. I think I was reading some. So this is a reimagining of the first Final Fantasy story as an action game from Team Ninja. And it's so jarring and so weird that I think there are a lot of people out there it's one of those like so bad it's good kind of things. Because like the character you play as is just this meathead, like standard anime tough guy in like really fashionable clothing. I don't even know his terrible one-liners. Like it's awful. It's so bad, and I see so many people saying like it's so bad that I kind of want to see where this train wreck goes. Because you have, sort of the high fantasy style of what you would expect Final Fantasy to look like, with dragons and magic and all that stuff. But the main characters just look like they stepped off of like a 90s or early 2000s low budget action film. And like with these terrible one-liners and I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so weird and they're so out of place. And you kind of want to see like, wow, what are they going to do here exactly? I don't think I'm going to figure it out because the play mechanics really didn't do a whole lot for me either. But I really wanted to get into this because Final Fantasy is one of my favorite games of all time. And I ended up really loving Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not that I thought this was going to be exactly the same, but 7 Remake was another game where it's like, I love Final Fantasy. That doesn't look like something I'm going to like, so I'm not even going to try it. And then it ended up being free for PlayStation Plus members, and I tried it and fell in love with it. It was great. So, I'm glad they put this demo out. I did not have the same reaction. So
this has saved you weird. $90 Canadian.
It's another car I can buy in Gran Turismo 7 instead. Half of a car.
Ouch.
Oof. One of the other games that I did try out this week too, and this isn't bad news. I was only kidding about that. So Tunic, do you remember Tunic?
Of course.
Made by one guy. The Zelda
trailer looked so good many years ago, and it's finally out.
6 years ago. 6 years ago.
I do not remember this.
So it's you might have. So it's like an isometric view Zelda style game, but you play as a little fox. If you watch it, Phil, you've definitely seen the trailer.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it finally came out.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, and like I said, developed by one guy here in Halifax, actually. So it's a local game. I remember being shown this game on that guy's. He showed me a demo video of it on a cell phone 6 years ago at GDC. I don't know the guy, but we were at a mixer for like Atlantic Canadian game developers and stuff. But I played a little bit of it. It's on Game Pass right now. Recommend trying it out. It's cute. It's got decent combat. And it's taking an interesting tack on how to do things. Like, you don't get an instruction manual, but you learn how to do things based on pages that you find in the world. So you'll come across these little glowing rectangles, and then if you collect them, you'll get 2 pages of what is clearly meant to be an NES manual, an NES game manual. So you're getting 2 pages of the manual. It's mostly written in like hieroglyphics, some kind of hieroglyphic language that looks vaguely Zelda-ish. That's never translated, apparently, but you can get the gist of what it means from the illustrations and stuff. And there's some English scattered throughout it. So that's how you learn how to play the game. But it's like a very straightforward, I shouldn't say straightforward. It's a very much just a Zelda alike, where you can find different weapons and things. You can assign them to different buttons on your controller, and there's tons of puzzles. Now, apparently the puzzles do get pretty rough the further into the game that you get. And the whole idea, the developer said, is that he wants people to actually go to the internet and talk to the community to figure out how to do things, which is an interesting idea. I don't know how that doesn't turn into people who've been there before just telling you what to do next. But whatever.
Well, that's the whole idea of Dark Souls and the whole.
And it is supposed to be a bit of a Souls-like as well. So, and I've heard that it does get really tough later on.
You can turn the difficulty down so that you don't take any damage.
Can you in that game?
Yeah, there's a setting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's very pretty. Man, it's pretty. So I'm definitely want to keep playing it. And there's something else that I want to say about it, and now I totally forgot what it was. Anyway, it's really nice. I really like. I've only played like an hour of it. I just wanted to make sure I tried it out before the show, because again, it's one that I've been sort of following for years. It's been around for so long, and the fact that like one guy made it is, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Super cute. And then the only other thing that I really played this week that I wanted to talk about, and CJ, I know you have this on your list too, is the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks, the new track pack.
Yeah.
Grass sucks. They clearly didn't put any effort into this.
But when you're speeding past the grass, who cares?
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't know about the grass thing until I saw somebody online bitching about it. I will say that, and this isn't a negative, but personally, none of the tracks that were added were tracks I was looking for. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Doesn't make them bad. They're just, I will say actually what I did like is the two tracks that I assume they both came from the online or the mobile game, the Paris and
Tokyo.
So when I remember getting into those tracks for the first time and looking at the map, the track map, and going like, well, I don't know. And I've never played the mobile game. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. Like, this just looks like this isn't a racetrack. Like, there's just roads all over the place. And then to realize that the layout changes per lap, but you're still going along the same roads. You're just a different route every lap. That's really cool. I really like that a lot. I guess I'm late to the party, but yeah, I wasn't expecting it. So when it happened, I was like, oh, so you're actually racing against if you're far enough ahead, at least on the Paris track, you actually get to the point where you're going the opposite direction of players who were on the lap previous.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. It's a pretty cool idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too. There was one where on that Paris track, just as you were mentioning, like you have, if you get far enough ahead, you have oncoming traffic. Yeah, one of them had just hit the bullet bill power up that kind of sends you flying or whatever. So suddenly it's bullet bill racing towards me. I had to avoid that. So, but I like the tracks. They're different.
Yeah,
they're different than Mario Kart 8's tracks. There are no anti-gravity segments to these tracks or anything like that. So they feel different than Mario Kart 8's track selection, which I think is fine. If you're going to look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as kind of, they're adding 48 more tracks based on this. So if you look at this as a complete package of Mario Kart, like they've basically taken like the best Mario Kart gameplay and just are adding these mobile tracks or these mobile focused tracks to the game. I think it works really well. Apparently these are not available in online play yet.
No, they are. I was playing online with a group on Friday.
Yep. Okay. Apparently not with randoms. You can't play them with randoms yet.
Yeah, I don't know
until later this week. But but yeah, I'm really enjoying what they've got here, and I'm not paying attention to the data mines about what is going to come later. But I'm looking forward to. I guess they're going to do like 3 drops per year until the end of 2023. So yeah, we get release in March, and then July, and then November is how they're going to do it. Apparently,
so each drop will be 8 tracks.
8 tracks, yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
and like somebody in the chat is saying, like 48 tracks for $25. I can live with that.
Yeah,
I haven't spent money on Mario Kart 8 since I bought it for the Switch, and I bought it for the Wii U and played through it, and I love it. And I've been a fan. I still want Mario Kart 9, but
me too.
You know what? If I can get, another 48 tracks for $25, I'm totally okay with that. You're right. Yeah. You're right in that, they definitely don't stir the same excitement as like the Zelda track when it came out, or or like, the F-Zero style
or
tracks.
the Animal Crossing track.
Yeah, they're not that level, but
no,
they're new tracks and they're still good tracks. And I'm sure, again, I'm not paying attention to the data mines either, but the fact that they're drawing from older games, some of my old favorites are probably going to come back at some point.
Yeah.
So
when you're dealing with nearly 50 horses,
right,
the odds
very high.
The odds are pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. Like I said, if you were looking for every one of those new tracks to be along the lines of, like you said, Animal Crossing or the Zelda or something, yeah, okay, then I can see you being disappointed. But I don't think they ever promised that. So
no, they didn't. This is a $25 DLC, and you get 48 more tracks.
Yeah, yeah. So
not to take away anything from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a fantastic game that still is in the NPD top sellers.
Yeah. Which is the reason we don't have a Mario Kart 9 yet.
That's correct. Yeah.
But it's so worth it. I mean, it's my favorite Mario Kart by far. It's such a good game.
Oh, so good.
That's it for me. That's all I was playing this week.
Phil, what have you been playing, sir?
Well, I tried out that Gran Turismo.
And there was only like a few tracks.
I spent $8,000 on it so far.
Oh, wow. You're a GT whale.
Yeah. I kind of got sucked into that. So
you're part of Kazunori's kids.
Kazunori's kids.
You know what I did do?
Special person. Yeah.
This is terrible. I popped onto the PlayStation store a few days ago.
Why?
I was just, hey, what's new on the PlayStation? What they gonna need deals going on?
Whoa. Sorry.
I found out I get it. I found out they had SteamWorld Dig 2 on sale.
Oh God.
For the PS4.
You don't own that yet.
Couple bucks. And I was like, oh, I guess I never bought this on the PlayStation 4. I guess I'll throw a couple bucks at it, try it, just to have it. And then I was like, I bought it. I might as well load it up and play it for a couple minutes. And then
so you finished it.
About 8 hours later, I finished.
Jesus.
Played through it again.
I love it.
I love that game.
It's a good game.
Really good game.
Good game.
It's a great little game. So I plowed through SteamWorld Dig 2 again. Whatever. Other than that, I played a new game on the Switch. The hot new first-person shooter that came out. I know you guys know what a notorious FPS guy.
Oh yeah,
I am
definitely.
Yeah, so that's
why you're such a big Xbox fan.
I played a bit of Chex Quest. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
That out on the Switch.
Chex Quest, the hottest mid-90s cereal prize brought back to life in full HD glory.
I heard about this when it came out on Steam. I think it was years ago. Like people really got excited about it.
It's
like
the same
90s kids.
Yes, 90s kids. 80s nostalgia is dead, thankfully. Yeah. We have transitioned into 90s nostalgia now.
Yeah.
So Chex Quest was originally it was a cereal prize. You got it in boxes of Chex cereal.
Yeah.
And it was a total conversion of Doom. It's based around the old Doom engine. And you're going around fighting like slime monsters in the name of Chex. And but it was apparently good. People quite liked it. Kids who got it in their cereal have very fond memories of it. I mean, it's a Doom wad. So it's
man, wad.
Remember that?
Doom wads.
Doom wads, man.
Yep.
Go into Babbage's. You can buy a disc with like 100 Doom wads for $5. Yep. But they brought it back and they redid the graphics and everything. So they just ported the Steam version over to Switch. So it was like $5. So I picked it up. It's cute, whatever. I just played a little bit of it. But the big thing I played this week is the new Dawn of the Monsters, which is published by Way Forward and developed by, is it 13 a.m.?
That sounds right.
Okay.
Is the developers. So this is the kind of like King of the Monsters giant kaiju action game. It's a beat 'em up. It's a side scrolling beat 'em up.
Oh, okay. So that's slightly different.
Yeah, because King of the Monsters was like a one-on-one fighting game, right?
Yeah. And there's another game kicking around called Gigabash that was just in the state of play from Sony 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
That is different from this game.
Yes.
And it is a fighting game. So this is more of a side-scrolling brawler.
Yes, this is a belt scroller.
Oh.
They call it, I guess.
Those are the best kind of scrollers.
Action. But so it's a side scrolling beat 'em up where you can choose from 4 different protagonist creatures. One of them is kind of a Godzilla knockoff.
Of course.
A big fire lizard kind of thing. You have a giant crab, big sea monster. And then one of them is it's a woman piloting a mech suit. So it's kind of like, like a Evangelion Gundam kind of homage. And then the final character is basically like Ultraman. Yeah, he's a regular dude who has the powers to transform himself into a giant robot who can go around kicking and punching all these enemy monsters. And then the whole setup of the game, it's got kind of a Pacific Rim kind of feel where it's like, oh, these giant kaiju monsters are attacking and we've built walls around the cities, but we still have to find ways to combat them and things like that. So but it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it so far. Like kind of like I've only played maybe about an hour or so of it. But I'm having a good time. It's very clearly made by a bunch of people who are intimately familiar with
each other.
Possibly. I don't know what goes on in their office, but certainly with kaiju movies, they're very familiar with those. There's tons of little references and stuff like that. But yeah, and then like the whole the environment is laid out like you're stomping over cities and stuff. So you'll see like tiny little houses and parks and stuff. And as you walk over them, just the environment will kind of just, get destroyed underneath your feet. There are elevated highways that you can walk through and they'll crumble and stuff like that. So it's nice little graphical touches like that. And then,
cool.
It's set up so when you defeat levels, you can collect different kind of enhancement items that you can then go in and put a couple of them onto your monster to sort of alter their stats and powers and things like that. So there's some variety in that kind of thing. But it's it's pretty fun so far. I'm having a good time with it.
Okay.
It's also the Ultraman character in the game is voiced by a friend of the show, Brent Mukai.
Oh, right on.
All right.
Actually. Yeah. Who you'll remember him. He was Gary in the Ratchet and Clank game. Yeah, he did a fantastic job in that. So yeah, he's voicing like the main character in this game, which is very cool. But yeah, if you like side scrolling beat 'em ups,
beat them ups,
this is a pretty good one. So I'm having some fun. Yeah,
bum ups.
Dawn of the Monsters.
Cool. And of course, you're a huge kaiju fan. This is like right in your wheelhouse.
Phil's a small kaiju fan.
I'm wearing a Kamen Rider shirt right now, for crying out loud.
Yeah, this is right in your wheelhouse.
Look on my desk right next to me. Look at this. I got Hedora, the smog monster, right here.
That's right.
What do you want from me, man?
Yeah.
So I had to try this game out. They're selling physical editions of them over at the limited run.
You're tempted?
I'm tempted to
3 years
double
from now?
dip. Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's presumably only if you get the deluxe edition one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, speaking of, my deluxe edition of Scott Pilgrim is finally shipped.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
15 months after I bought it. So,
oops.
Looking forward to it. I hope it doesn't show up mangled like a bunch of other stuff I've ordered from Limited Run has showed up. So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what I have been playing.
All right.
CJ.
Well, Phil.
Here we go.
I have been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I spent an entire plane ride playing the 8 tracks of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Nice.
Which was quite enjoyable, I gotta say.
I
Wait, you could play them without an internet connection?
Yes, you can. You can play them offline.
Oh, good.
Novel.
Grand Prix. So I've been playing the 150cc variants of those offline. Yeah, you go into Grand Prix mode, and I think it's you just press up on the analog stick, and it brings up the entirety of what will become the DLC courses, and the first 2 cups are available. And yeah, you can chart your progress there. It doesn't feel like that much of a tacked on piece of content, even though it is 5 years after the game came out. But anyway, so I've been playing Sea of Thieves, as you will know. Lo, these many 4 years. The game just celebrated 4 years.
Yep.
Oh my.
I know, right? And they just started the 6th season of content for this game. They started seasons last year, and so now we're on number 6. And with each one, they bring out a lot of new stuff. And this time it's sea forts. So there's sort of small castle armaments that have risen out of the sea that are now sort of on-demand combat encounters. So let's say you only have like an hour to sail around. You can go to one of these sea forts, have like a short battle, get a bunch of loot, and cash it in, and you're done. So they're very different from world events. Like world events in Sea of Thieves put up like a big cloud that the entire server can see something is going on, and oftentimes you'll be contested at those locations. But sea forts, you can go to any one of 6 that are in the game's world, and have that combat encounter, and you may not encounter another crew, or you may run into another ship or whatever. But you can also kind of take over that fort once you've secured it. Once you've defeated the boss at the end, you can actually like defend this fort as your own. So if another ship does come up to you, it has enough supplies on it where you can really make life tough for them. You can kind of defend it. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of people are talking about sort of things they could add to the game to help that out, like allow a crew to put up a world event sort of signal, like, hey, we got a bunch of treasure here, come fight us, kind of thing, at this fort that they've taken over. So that could be really interesting. But I really like how this game has progressed over the 4 years. Like, I know a lot of people are down on live service games, but I think when you find a live service game that you like and that is doing it the right way by producing content that isn't overly expensive for its audience, you can get like a sequel or more's worth of content out of some of these games. Like Sea of Thieves, 4 years. I've been playing the same game for 4 years. Like they've been adding to it over that 4 years quite a bit, and they're still going. Like they have many more plans to add to this game. So I'm very excited about the future of this game, but also very excited about just how many things they put in to it. And yes, I'm continuing to play it. And they removed the arena mode, which is the PvP focused mode. They removed that entirely, starting with this season, which, good riddance. to that mode.
Does that bother you? No.
No, I didn't really spend a whole lot of time in that mode at all. They allowed you to spend an in-game currency that you earn to progress levels in that mode without having to actually play, and that's what I did. I maxed that out and never had to play it very much. But yeah, still enjoying it. Sea forts are awesome, and anybody interested in the game should. Now there's never been a better time to get on the seas and try it out. Like, they have made the game a lot more accessible to new players, and it's just a ton of fun. Continues to be a ton of fun.
Do you guys call new players landlubbers?
No.
Really?
No.
You should start doing that.
I should start doing that.
I mean, that seems like something your little community would do, right?
I suppose. I don't know.
All you salty sea dogs.
It's a very welcoming community.
Joking about how you don't have your sea legs yet.
We don't like to differentiate between new players and old.
Yes, you do.
The game's got flat progression.
Tell me that when.
Although someone recently did say that I had pay to win skins on. When you don't in Sea of Thieves, you can't really pay to win. Like, there's no pay to win in Sea of Thieves. Like,
what does the skin
it's just
do?
Cosmetic stuff. Nothing. It's just cosmetic.
It doesn't alter your stats, or
no.
How's that pay to win?
It's not. I don't know what the guy was.
Pay to look better, I guess.
Well, they sunk and we didn't, so you had to.
There it is.
Yeah,
had to somehow find a way.
We sunk that bunch of landlubbers.
Yeah, sounds really welcoming.
Find your sea legs now, bitch.
Yeah, I bet you were being really, really thoughtful of them when you sunk their ship and stole their treasure.
Well, they attacked us. So.
It's
different.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember if we
reap what you sow in the Sea of Thieves, I guess.
We probably did attack them.
Now the story changes.
Now the story has changed.
Now we're getting inconsistent. I see.
Yeah. But I did some pre-ordering this week. I pre-ordered Kirby.
Okay.
Because that comes out this coming week, and I'm very excited.
I pre-ordered Kirby as well.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I did not, although my daughter keeps telling me I have to.
Excellent. I pre-ordered Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
I've had that pre-ordered for about 7 years now.
That's what I thought.
But I did a digital pre-order.
I got the physical one because I get the cute steelbook case and an exclusive Lego figure.
Nice. Very nice.
So, yeah.
And I also pre-ordered the Evil Dead game.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, they had a recent trailer where you showing off playing as the Kandarian warrior, as Ash, or not as Ash, but the guy from Army Darkness.
Ash?
Anyway.
His name is Ash.
No, the evil Ash.
Oh, Bad Ash.
Bad Ash.
Bad Ash, yeah.
You're good, Ash.
I'm
Bad Ash.
That's Bruce Willis.
You're goody two shoes.
As in a stunning dual role as Bruce Campbell and the evil Bruce Campbell.
The really good thing about the trailers for this is they have Bruce Campbell read the copy that they wrote. You can tell he is not a gamer in any stretch. You can tell just by the line delivery, and it's so great. It's just it really reminds me of the interview that we did where you, Phil, shared an idea for a plucky side film.
Yeah.
With Bruce Campbell and his reaction, just his line delivery.
Was he in a stunning dual role?
Well, not in my original pitch. No.
Okay.
No, it was just him as the ring announcer.
Yeah.
From the first Raimi Spider-Man movie, and it was him and Macho Man as Bonesaw McGraw, and they would travel around the country.
Oh, I remember this.
Getting into misadventures, solving crimes.
Yeah.
Saving towns. Yeah.
And I wish I still had, because at the time I recorded all the interviews that I did on to cassettes, and I
Right.
wish I still had that one because that would be so funny.
It was a very deadpan response of just, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's not
gonna happen.
so
I'm not gonna answer
good.
that. That's not a thing.
So good.
Who let you in here?
Exactly.
I have, like, I don't think at the time I like internally I was laughing as hard as I possibly could.
Probably
Response.
mortified.
It was so great. It was so great.
Oh,
But anyway, I guess that means time for tweets.
tweedly deedly dee. A tweedly deedly dee. Tweet. A tweet. A tweet tweet.
Alrighty, let's do this one from Acrelius Docky, who says, I've often wished that games had a Reader's Digest version, which is heavily streamlined. I'd love to see a 5-hour version of Persona 5. Are there any games you'd love to play in digest form?
All of them.
I'm going to agree. First
Persona
of all,
5 would be great.
Persona 5, Persona 4, and pick your persona at this point. Like,
well, you do in those games. That's the whole point.
Well, yeah.
You do that in real life too, really, when you think about it.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I did try to play Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, and I just couldn't. Like, the gameplay was fine, but I just kind of got bored with it.
Yeah.
I know people love that game. That's
They're
fine.
good games.
Was not for me. But yeah, if there was a shorter version, yeah, I'd be down with that. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'd be down with a shorter version of that too.
I could go with a lot of the recent Zelda games.
Twilight. Oh, really?
Well, Twilight. I bounced out of Twilight Princess after a dozen or so hours, and I was still kind of in the tutorial.
Yeah,
I was just like, I got no time for this.
Although that game has tutorial throughout. I mean, a lot of the newer 3D Zelda games do that, right? Where they are still teaching you stuff all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I honestly, I could rattle off a bunch of RPGs over the last 10 to 15 years that, you know, I would love to have that option, just because I don't play them as much because I don't want to put the time in. You know, it's not necessarily because I think they're bad. Like, I mean, any of the Final Fantasies since 13, I would throw in this camp right away, including 13. You know, or like the Xenoblade games, I really would like to experience those because I've heard great things about them, but I just don't want to even start down that path because I know I won't. I know I don't want to put the time into them. You know, the Yakuza games, I would kind of like that too. Although the Yakuza games aren't really all that long, I don't think. But I would love to experience, and I'm so far behind on them that I would love a really quick way to experience them.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, Yakuza is another one of those where I just can't spend the time watching a 20-minute cinematic.
Ooh, Bridge Club in the chat said Red Dead Redemption 2. Perfect. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Just about any open world game, you know?
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this one from hacker alias Benjamin Rivers, who says, can each of you name a Famicom game that doesn't exist, but you wish did? And if so, what would the cover art look like?
Shinobi. Shinobi exists.
Afterburner.
Shinobi exists.
What's that?
Afterburner.
Afterburner exists on Famicom.
Alien Syndrome.
Yeah. But that exists.
Alien Syndrome is also on the Famicom NES.
I will say, so one of the first issues of Famitsu that I ever bought had a picture of a bunch of Famicom games just kind of like in a pile. And one of the games was Garfield for the Famicom.
Yeah.
And I was a big Garfield fan back in the day.
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't? Yep. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So upon seeing there was a Garfield game that came out in Japan that didn't come to the US, I was fascinated by that. I'm sure it's terrible. I have not
a week
not
of
sought
Garfield
it out.
is the game.
Yeah.
Remember when there was going to be a Hellraiser game for the
Oh
NES?
yeah, that was
Color Dreams, I
Color
think, wasn't it?
Dreams. Yeah,
yeah.
that was by Color Dreams.
But yeah, the Week of Garfield game for Famicom is terrible. It's very
I'm
bad.
sure. I'm sure that it's
you've not
bad.
played it. Yeah. It's not good.
Yes, yeah. But I also was just fascinated by like what if there were other NES games based on properties that I enjoyed as a child that came out in
Mhm.
Japan but not in the US. So like if there was a Voltron
Mm.
Famicom game, I would have been all over that.
If
But
there was a good Macross game on Famicom, that would have been great.
There wasn't
like
a good Macross?
No, the Macross game on Famicom was terrible.
but a Voltron Famicom game wouldn't have been Voltron.
It wouldn't have been Voltron, right?
It would have
You're right.
been
Would have been
whatever the name of the anime they took pieces from to make Voltron.
right.
It was
Right.
two
right.
different series, wasn't it?
I
Two or three
believe
different
so.
series. I mean, I know there
Yeah.
was the lions and the vehicles, but I think even one of those was actually a mixture of two series. I think.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Or like a Thundercats game.
Yeah.
Thundercats Famicom game. That would be awesome.
Mask. I would have loved to have had a
Oh
game
yeah.
about Mask. I love
Mask.
those toys.
Yeah.
Oh, those toys were the best.
Oh
Or a
man.
GoBots game. What would a GoBots game be like?
Probably half as good as the Transformers game,
Ooh.
but cheaper.
Definitely, yeah.
Half as good as the
Oh, I know.
Famicom Transformers
I know what I'm
game.
saying.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh
There you
man.
go.
I would have
All right.
I would have liked some like Blaster Master 2, you know? Some of my favorite NES games that never got sequels. Things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's another like 80s toy or movie property that didn't get a game.
How about a good Back to the Future game?
Oh yeah. I mean, they had two shots at
Is there a
that.
Smurfs game on the NES?
Oh,
I know there were some on the
ColecoVision.
Genesis. And
Yeah, there were. I
Coleco.
don't know if there was a.
I would have loved to have a good Smurfs game on the NES, just because I loved the Smurfs when I was a kid.
Or hey, Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse.
I never got into Danger Mouse when I was a kid.
Never got into
too British for young Phil.
British.
I didn't get it.
I loved
Why
it.
are they drinking tea all the time? This doesn't make sense.
There you go. All right, let's do this one from Hacker alias CTB, who says, I was recently reminded how much I love Mad Max from last generation. Criminally overlooked game. But I could care less about the IP. What are some games you loved in spite of the source material?
Oh,
so you liked the Mad Max game that came out during the last gen,
right,
but doesn't like the IP or couldn't care less about it.
Real quick, I'm seeing in the chat that there was a Smurfs game in Europe.
Okay, I figured that if it existed, it would have been in Europe. Yeah,
which makes sense. Yeah,
that does make sense. Yes.
God, games that I liked as a kid that I didn't care about the IP.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a game I was into.
I feel like this would have been easier if we'd been given some warning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, but it's been a long time since I've been a kid.
No, this can be from any time. It doesn't have to be from when you were a kid.
I mean, games, hey, Blazing Lasers.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that was a licensed game until many years later.
Gunhead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but that was the case with a lot of games back around that time frame.
Yeah.
Where they were based on like an anime or something, and they stripped all that stuff out when they brought it over to the US.
I really liked the Mayfac Conspiracy on NES. And I've never read a Golgo 13 comic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, those both of the Golgo 13 NES games were.
I thought he was a super cool character.
Were pretty popular, yeah, despite no one over here knowing what Golgo 13 was.
Yeah.
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 Man.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have an answer for this one though.
Yeah, we should have had prep time for this one.
Yeah, we got to prep for these ones.
Maybe we'll come back to this one.
Tune in next week.
All right, let's talk about some other IP.
We're gonna do our pre-taped Twitter show.
Hacker Alias, I finally
Live to
watched,
tape.
says, "Are you guys playing the Indiana Jones Pinball FX table?
No.
What's your favorite Pinball FX table, and what's your favorite real life table?"
Oh man,
Baby Pac-Man.
Baby Pac-Man.
I did not know there was an indie Pinball FX table.
You know what? Sorry to go back to the last question for a minute. I was just reminded. Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Almost no exposure to The Walking Dead. Definitely never the comics.
Right.
Same with Fables. The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah,
never had any experience with the IP until afterward.
Okay.
But Walking Dead, I've never gotten into the show or the comic, even after loving the games.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right on with that. I'm the same way.
You know what? Thinking kind of similarly, I played the Sam and Max Hit the Road back in the day before I had read any of the Sam and Max comics. Yeah. So that was my first exposure to those characters, and obviously I loved that game, and then went on to love the comics. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We do have an answer for that.
I guess we do.
All right, now let's talk pinball.
Pinball.
We're not playing Indiana Jones, but
I'm only not playing it because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
There you go.
I am very interested in that because I do enjoy pinball video games, even though I'm notoriously bad at them.
Yeah.
But I also very much enjoy Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I will have to go on and pick up that table afterwards.
Yeah. I always enjoyed the Simpsons pinball table.
Oh, the IRL one?
Yeah, that also got an EGM cover. Remember when
EGM that's right.
Put a pinball game on the cover?
Yeah, that was weird. It was just like a bad photograph of the back glass, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It was a really weird cover.
Yeah, a pinball game on the cover of EGM. Yeah, it happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a kind of generic answer, but the Addams Family pinball game is really good.
Yeah.
A really good
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then they did a years and years ago, they also did a Doctor Who pinball game that I enjoyed just because I was a big Doctor Who nerd in high school. And this was before all the
new kind of stuff.
The modern, then this was back when it was just like Sylvester McCoy was the most recent Doctor.
Yeah.
Nobody except Doctor Who nerds knows what that means, but still.
I see.
I don't know if that was a particularly good table or not. I just liked it because it was Doctor Who and it had all the,
by the way,
sound effects and everything. Yeah.
Just as a complete tangent here, I know we talk about the Chicago Pirate signal thing, the Max Headroom thing that is
who interrupted an episode of
because
Doctor
it interrupted
Who.
an episode of Doctor Who.
Yes.
I saw a game trailer recently that used clips from that, and I was like, "What am I looking at from here?" They used clips from the Max Headroom Pirate broadcast. I was like, "Is that something you can do? Just take that."
Take clips from. Well, I mean, who owns the copyright to the pirate broadcast?
I was going to say, do they know who even did it yet? I thought you said that was not.
No,
I don't think so.
No, they don't. So you know what? Maybe that was a trick to get the guy who did that pirate broadcast to come and file a copyright claim.
Maybe.
Hey, wait a second.
I gotta find out what game this was for. I'll post that, but
I'm very curious.
It was very weird, very jarring to see suddenly in a game trailer. Like, what? Yeah. Anyway. All right. We've talked about favorite real life table. I like a lot of the licensed stuff that's in Pinball FX, including all the Star Wars tables and Jaws. It's fun.
Yeah, they do a good job with the licensed
They
stuff.
do a great job. Honestly,
Yes.
a great job.
Yeah, the Star Wars pinball ones are all a lot of fun.
Yeah. I got to bring that Weird Al table too.
Boy, I hope they do.
Virtual pinball game, please.
I really would like that.
Be great. All right. I think that's a good place to end the episode for this week.
Okay.
What do you think? Like that?
Let's do it.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us, would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Stewart when he finds the time to make one of those. But when he's not doing that, he's doing Generation 16 episodes, which you can also find on our website.
Yep, the new one's going well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. And you'll also find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about, and a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by loading up your favorite podcast listening app. We're also on Stitcher Radio or on Spotify. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch video archives of our show on the youtubes.com/P1Podcast, or watch us live most weeks on the YouTubes, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Twitch.televisions, anywhere on the internet. You're liable to find us. Just follow our Twitter account, which is @P1Podcast, to find out when we are doing our next live show. Typically, it is Sunday nights. It is at 5:30 Pacific time. So join us, won't you? If you like what you've heard, and how could you, head over to patreon.com/P1Podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. Greg has to buy a lot of cars.
And they're more expensive now.
Yeah. So every little bit helps, people.
Amen to that.
He needs it. He needs it bad. Dude loves his automo cars. I'll tell you what, though, your Patreon funds do indeed help support our show, keeps us live streaming every week, all those little costs that come with running a podcast. And hey, guess what? If you are a Patreon friend of the $5 tier,
cheap,
you gain access to a special bonus episode. We record it every week right after this one. Play games, crack wise, having fun, doing all the stuff we can't do on the regular show. CJ, do we have a game to play this week?
We sure do, Phil. This is going to be a review game. Using Game Fans.
Oh boy.
March 1994 issue.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be talking a lot about scrolls.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking a lot about CD quality audio and all that good stuff.
Woody inducing graphics.
Indeed.
Oh boy. Well, that should be exciting. Cannot wait for that. And I'll tell you what, if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to patreon.com/generation16 to help support Greg Stewart's outstanding, and it is outstanding, web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis.
Thank you, Philip. And if you are a Patreon supporter of the $5 per episode variety,
also cheap.
Thank you, Satan. You get access to the Weekly Commute, which is a weekly vlog that I produce talking about the creation of the show, other videos I'm working on, what I really think about CJ and Phil. I don't talk about what I really think about Satan because he already knows I love him.
Love you too, buddy.
Yeah. And just other stuff, like as an example, while I was cleaning up this week, I found the original demo disc for Robotech Invasion.
Oh,
so I was talking about the creation of that in the Weekly Commute, which I am literally pushing publish on right now. Click.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Was that
real time?
Was that a live drop?
That was. So yeah, please consider supporting the show.
Yeah. Do it. Is that it?
I think so.
Is that
Pretty
it?
sure that's it.
That's the show then. Okay,
Yeah.
CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Phil.
For doing what you do.
Uh-huh.
Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Philip.
Of course. And a big old thank you to you, our wonderful, wonderful listener. Every single one of you, please remember, take care of yourself, your family, your loved ones, your friends. Do what you got to do to be safe. And we hope, beyond hope, to see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.